guys, welcome to episode 17 of Bukkit for Beginners. And in this episode I am finally going over config files. I was going to go over the entire configuration class and file class, but then I realized I'd have to teach you guys about input and output streams and file separators and all that stuff. I mean, unless you're going into some serious heavy Bukkit programming and plugin development, I don't think you need to know all that. It might be useful, but it's going to be like a serious information overload to throw all that out at once. So I'm going to go over how to use the two classes that I can actually take credit for them. I found them and then I modified them to be a little bit better. I added a few things to them. It's a config class and a config manager class. So I give credit to whoever was the original person to develop these. I just edited them, made them a little bit more efficient, and added quite a few things to them. So I'm gonna post these so you guys can download them and use them yourself. These make it super simple to create multiple config files and also to set things like comments and all that. So let's see how they work. In your main plugin, in the one that extends Java plugin, you're going to want to create a config manager. So we're just going to create my config manager. And then you can't, this is something that I've noticed a few other tutorials have gotten wrong, and they catch the problem in the video. You can't give this a value using anything that has to do with this class until except for on the enable, because the class isn't gonna exist until the plugin is enabled. So if I was to because what you have to do is you have to do my config manager equals new, and you have to give it an instance of this class. Well, this isn't anything yet, so you can't instantiate it here. You have to just give it a name, and then you have to give it a value in the actual onEnable method. So we're going to make a new my config manager with a reference to this plugin. Now you only need one manager. That's it. So after that, you just make as many config files as you want. So I'm going to make one named player homes. So observe my config. We're gonna make it called player homes. Oh crap. We'll just call it homes config. Then we're gonna set homes config equal. We're gonna access a method inside of the manager class. It's called get new config. Now what this does is it's going to get the config file, and don't be confused by this word new. It's going to get a config file if it exists, and if it does not exist, it'll make it and then get it for you. So if I'm going to make a config named homes.yml, just like that. Now, if this exists, it'll just get it for me, and if it does not exist, it'll make it for me and then get it. So there's no chance of anything going wrong. And now that's it. I mean, you have your file. So now we gotta write stuff to it. You can also give it a header. You can like we can say homes. We can give it a header. You can give it a string array of multiple lines. In this case, we'll do it. We'll do new string array. The first line will be just gonna fix the indentation. Super cool homes. This is the homes file. Super cool homes. There, that's it. Now I just formatted this so it looks a little bit prettier. Sorry, I just forgot for like a split second that I was making a video. I just was silent. You can type it like that as well. I just like to indent it so it looks more spaced out. So that is it. Now we're going to write stuff and get stuff from the file. So when the player sets their home, we're going to write it to the file. Oh, it's called homes config. We're going to set. Now notice it takes a path and a value. Now I'll show you how paths work. It works by the YML works by like a hierarchy sort of thing. I'll show you. So we're going to set homes dot and then player name, and we're going to set that to the location of the player. You're probably like, what the hell did he just do? Let me just set it up and then I will show you how it's used, or like what it does. Don't forget, anytime you set something in a config file, you must save it. So homes config, save config. So you have to save the file every time you access it, or I'm sorry, every time you change something inside of it. So let's test it out. Alright, oops. Let's reload really quickly. Now if you notice, in plugins, and we're going to go into YouTube plugin, we now have homes.yml. And we have a nice fancy little header thing here that you can put the title of your config file, or you can put info about it, you can put the name of your plugin up here, anything you want. So it formats it nice and clean. But now observe, we're going to set home. My home is set right there. Now we go back to the file. We now have the you're probably like, what the fuck is all that? We have homes that we defined here. Then we have the player's name. Then we had the location. Now, there's a lot of crap written in there. When you serialize serialize means turning something that's like an object that has multiple values to it, like a location has an X, a Y, a Z, a world, pitch, yaw, all that crap is all associated with that location. So it needs to write all that to a file. That's called serializing. When you serialize an object, you turn it into text in a file. It's kind of like having a balloon filled with a bunch of crap, and when you serialize it, you deflate it. The stuff is just more condensed. It's all still there, it's just more condensed, and it can fit into a smaller space. And when you want to deserialize, you blow the balloon back up and get all the original, object. That's my object analogy. So if you look at the file, if I can find it, let me get this centered. Here's the home, and one line down is my name, and then this is all the crap that's associated with this location. I personally don't like to store locations like this because it's very messy for the person that is using your plugin. So let me show you how I store my locations. I would do homes dot then the player name, and then I would give the X. We're going to copy and paste a few times here. I would get the X, the Y, the Z, and the world. So we're going to get the location, and then we're going to get the X from it, and then we're going to get the Y. Oops. Get the Z, and get the world. Oh, I'm sorry. If you tried to serialize a world, it's going to write a bunch of crap about it, like the seed and all that. So we want to just get the string of the world. Get world or no, we want to get the name. Get world. Get name. There we go. So let me show you what this looks like now. Let me just delete this file. Close it. I'm going to delete it. Gonna reload. Set home. Home set. Let's see what it looks like. Oh wait, that's what happened. Oh, I didn't export it, that's why. I'm way too tired to be recording a video right now. Oh my gosh. Alright, reload complete. Set the home. Set it to there. Now, this is I'm gonna do a split screen here real quick. So if you notice, and I'm gonna make this maximize. So expand, go full screen with the video if you don't mind, real quick. The dot indicates that you're moving into the next line. So we have homes dot and then my name dot x. So homes Applejuze x, which is actually the same thing if I did homes config set homes.applejuze.x. It's the same thing, except I'm just concatenating. I'm adding this into this string so that it makes an object for me. Now, when they type home, we're going to want to get that from the file, because we don't just want to get it from the hash map, because actually there's two ways to do it. You can get it from the file, or the more efficient way would be when you enable your plugin, add all of these into the hash map. So all that like heavy deserializing is done when the plugin is enabled, and then you can just easily get it from the hash map that's sitting right there. So if you want to do get something from the config file, like for example, when they go to home, we're going to send them a message of the z value of the home. So we're going to send message the z value of your home is, and then let me maximize this. We're going to do homes config, and we're going to get an integer. See, this is pretty easy. Get int, get double, get string. You can just get a general object, get a boolean. You can get all these different things. We're going to get the int that's at whatever path I give it, which is this path. So it's going to be homes dot player get name x, and it's going to get the value that's right there, just like that. Let's test it out. Alright, let's reload. We're going to go home. Uh-oh. Oh, Jesus. What happened? On command in Java 56. Oh, I tried to access, see, I tried to teleport me to this location, which is null because there's nothing in the, because I reloaded it, so there's nothing inside of the hash map. So let's try this again. We will set the home here, and we're gonna go home. The z value of your home is 0. The reason that it says 0 is because we got an integer, and I'm sorry, I did that wrong. This should be double, not integer, because we want decimal points. Let's try again. Okay. Set home, go home. The z value of your home is 0, 0. That's strange. Why is it giving me 0? Oh, maybe because it's negative, it doesn't like that. Just for example purposes, let's try the y. Alright. Going to go home. The y value of your home is 0, 0 y. No, it's not. Oh, wow. I didn't put a dot here. Didn't know where to get it from. That's why. Okay. Sorry about that. We're going to go home. There we go. The y value of our home is 72.0. And as you can see, if we open up this file, it is in fact 72.0. And that is how you get values inside of a config file. Now, if I was to set this x value, it would overwrite it. But as you can see, if the value isn't there, it will create it. So if Applejuze isn't there, it'll just make a thing named Applejuze. So that's pretty useful as well. There is one more thing that I want to show you regarding config files, and that is how to get a configuration section. Where, let's say you have a list of roles that you have in your config file, and you want to print those out. The way that you would do that is, let me go into the, we'll send it on the home method. Oops. We're going to do homes config get configuration section. Now what this is the pathway excuse me, it's the pathway that you want to get. So in our case, I want to get everything that's inside of the Applejuze. So I want to get, oh, phone's blowing up. I want to get the X, the Y, the Z, and the world. I want to get all these values. So the way that you do that is you give it the path. Homes dot. Now notice I'm not going to give it anything after this. I'm not going to give it an X, or Y, Z because I want to get. Oh, excuse me. I want to get this configuration. Oh, I'm sorry, configuration section, Applejuze. Now, after this, you want to do get keys, because all this is going to do is it's going to get that configuration section. Now you want to get all of the keys that are in that section. This is kind of similar to a hash map. There's a key, which would be like the X or the Y, and the value, which is the actual value of that key. Like the X value is whatever. So the Boolean here is, it's going to be true if you want to get everything after it. So if I had Tim here, and Tim had an X. If I said true there, and I wrote Applejuze, it would get this X, this Y, this Z, this world, Tim, and X. It would get all those. If you write false, it'll only get the things that are inside of this section. Like, see, this is the Applejuze section. It has just these. This is the Tim section. It just has the X. So I usually write false because I just want to get the one section. Now we're going to store this in a set of strings. We'll call it data. Like that. And we're going to import this. So now we have data, which is going to have all those values in it. And we're going to iterate through. Remember I told you about iterators in the last few videos, how you can like go through. A set is kind of like an array. It holds a bunch of data in it. So we're going to get a string name. We'll call it S. We're going to go through data, and we're going to send the player a message of whatever this string is. So let's save, export. Okay, we're going to set home. We're going to go home. And X, Y, Z, and world. Now you notice it got the keys. So it's just the name. It's not the actual. It isn't the actual value of it. It just gets. Where is it at? Come on. It just gets these, just the keys. So like X, Y, Z, etc. So, sorry, that was a bad example. I am extremely tired. I think that's about it for config files. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I know this is not my best. This is pretty choppy and botched up. But I am going to include those 2 files. I'll put it in the description so you can download them. Hopefully that'll help you out a ton with making config files. I will show you in a future video how to make per player files, but I'm sure you could figure it out on your own. All you do is make a hash map with the player's name, and you'll have a config associated with him. And then you'll just make a new config each time a player joins the server. So it's pretty simple, actually. Alright, well, that is it. Thank you for watching, and what's the next video? Multiple classes. I'm gonna record that one. I'm gonna do multiple classes for commands. 19, I'm gonna record that tonight as well, on how to do a little subcommands trick that I use. And then before I start the kits plugin, I'm probably gonna go get sleep, and then I'll start that tomorrow, because that's gonna be a pretty intense one. Alright guys, I will see you next video.